Seravalli and Jamie McLennan. I'm Gino Reda. All right, Frank, you've been making some calls since the Board of Governors heard about the proposed realignment. What are you hearing from them right now?
Well, Gino, actually, that call just wrapped up a short time ago, and it was mostly an update call, but that was the big news, is the divisional realignment. And I can tell you that not everyone walks away from that totally happy. I mean, look at how tough that all-Canadian division is going to be. It's going to be a tug of war every single night, but in this case, there was no sense complaining because everyone understood the restrictions at the border. This is a one-off situation, a one-time event that everyone's going to enjoy. But elsewhere, there was certainly some lobbying going on for teams to be moved around and positioned properly. The Pittsburgh Penguins, for instance, wanted to make sure that they stayed in the East. The Minnesota Wild wanted to be with the Central teams. Same with the Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues in a perfect world, but they wanted to have 3 divisions of 8 in the U.S., and it's all still subject to change, but that's where things stand at the moment if we're going to drop the puck on January 13th.
Well, Frank, I know the league doesn't want to complain about it, but we can complain about it a little bit. I think there's 2 very strong divisions and 2 very weak divisions, and you're right, it's a little bit of a coin toss when you're looking at big picture and what's best for the league. But you take a look at that Eastern Division alone, there's only one weak team, and that's the New Jersey Devils in that process with Boston Buffalo, New York Islanders, Rangers, Philly, Pittsburgh, Washington. Buffalo is a lot better. The All-Canadian Division, we know there's 6 teams that realistically could be first and right down to 6. And with all due respect to Ottawa, which is a lot more improved, they're still in the rebuild. But the other 2, Tampa Bay could absolutely run away with that division because there's a lot of weaker teams that are in rebuilds, Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit. Now, Columbus is strong, Carolina's strong, but Florida and Nashville, I'm not convinced what they're bringing to the table. And then you look at out west, San Jose, LA, Anaheim, they're in rebuilds. They're not great teams. You throw in Arizona. So really, those 4 teams of Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, and St. Louis, it's just going to be jockeying for position.
We should point out, though, the realignment and start date of January 13th are still just proposals. They won't be official until they're voted on and approved. So what's next on that front?
Well, there's so much to still unpack. You know, they've cleared one hurdle at least with realignment, cleared another potentially with the financial situation being settled and them operating under the CBA. But still, when you think about roster limits and taxi squads, you've got an opt-out to get through. You've got different other health and safety protocols that you need to iron out. Then the travel and what things are going to look like with regards to how teams are going to be staying in these cities and different testing requirements. You've got to get all of that, probably run it by the federal government and local and regional health authorities to get their stamp of approval. And then once all of that's done, you need to get it approved by the NHLPA's executive board and the Board of Governors. And we're told that that Board of Governors vote may not happen until the end of next week. So in the meantime, everyone's sitting and waiting as they go through this process and the discussion process to hammer it all out. Everyone wants to know. There's players that are waiting to travel to their home cities to get things underway, and they just don't have an answer. There's been no directive from the NHLPA just yet.
All right, but looking ahead, Jamie, you were part of some seriously heated rivalries during your playing days. As a matter of fact, if I'm not incorrect, I think you're still under suspension for that stick swinging incident. What are you expecting from the divisional realignment this season?
To be on record, that was a little misunderstanding, Gino. Yeah. We won't go there. But when you take a look at these rivalries, and I'm not a proponent for fighting whatsoever, and I'm not advocating for it whatsoever, but you are going to see some irritability some nights. When you end up playing the same team 8 or 9 times, and maybe there's a bad hit, a bad play, some bad blood at the end of one game, and you've got to play that team the next night or 2 nights later, you know that this is going to fire up, and I think it's going to be fantastic from a theater standpoint of a fan just watching, because you're going to be emotionally and invested in these games. We saw what happened between Edmonton and Calgary last year. You don't think that's going to be times 2 or 3 with a shortened season, an all-Canadian division, and only the top 4 teams make it. Those are playoff points every night. It doesn't matter if it's game 2 or game 48 or game 50. Those are going to be important points, and they'll be fighting for them every night.
And good news for fans of Canadian hockey teams, if we project the playoff format through these proposed